Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Remote No Pressure podcast. I'm very excited to be here, like I am every time we come on the air. It is Wednesday. It is a midweek episode, and like I had mentioned last Sunday, Bill and I went up to up north with the crew from True North Trout with Brian, Matt, and Randy, and also with Bear Andrews, who's a local legend and just actually a legend in the industry, period. And Brian Kosminski's like, you have to record a campfire conversation with Bear, and so we did. So it took me quite a bit to edit because there was a big cold front coming in, and it was the wind blowing in the mics, and you can hear some people but not others. But we were really trying to focus in on Bear and his story. So sometimes you may notice the sound quality isn't perfect, but this midweek episode, there's no ads for anybody. There's no there's nothing. There's no interruptions. I know that we've had some partners come along with us recently. But with this midweek episode, it's a campfire conversation, and we're keeping it sacred that way. So we're very excited to bring this to you. Thank you very much to Randy with True North Trout. He opened up his cottage for a night there on the Asable, and let us hang out with him for the night and hang out with the crew. And they were just so generous. If you guys are looking to, this is not an ad. I just said there's no ads. But if you guys are looking to find a respectable guide in northern Michigan, you can't go wrong with True North Trout. And I say that not because it's an ad, but because I just truly believe that. And they're great guys. So welcome to the podcast. Let's light the fire. We're here with Bear Andrews. So first question I have, Bear, how did you get the name Bear?
It's a question that's often asked. I went to Northern Michigan University. I played hockey up there, and I was a pretty aggressive player, and I also bear hunted when I was going to school up there. One of the guys I was living in the dorm with just started calling me Bear. I also have this kind of ornery, kind of gruff look on my face a lot. It's just a scowl that I have since I was a kid, you know. But so anyway, he started calling me Bear, and kind of stuck through college. And I was had actually bought some commercial property up just outside of Marquette, and I was going to move up there and open up a fly shop and archery shop in the mid '70s. And I couldn't get my wife to move back up there after we got out of school, so it just kind of stuck with me. And although I have done enough crazy stuff in my lifetime that some of the shenanigans I used to pull, B-A-R-E, could also apply, but streaking was very popular when I was in college, you know.
Were you quite the streaker back in the day, Bear?
Yeah, I had the frostbite out of my nutsack, you know. I hope this will be on the radio, you know, right?
Yeah. That's going to be the teaser for the
show.
show.
Yeah, I mean, we used to, you streak around the fraternity house in Marquette, and you're running through about 4 feet of snow, so it gets a little nibbly. A lot of shrinkage.
Yeah.
Is that your excuse now?
Yeah. Yep.
So how did you end up? I mean, you've been in the industry for a long time, Bear. I mean, how'd you end up in this world?
I kind of got started, and I've been doing this, in various capacities since about 1977, from a professional standpoint, if you will. Back when I used to do, I had a fly shop for a number of years. I started a fly shop, not really because I was wanting to get into the fly shop business, but I was commercial tying and doing a lot of teaching, and I would give the material list and stuff to the students. And at that time, most of the places you got fly time material from were mail order places, so by the time they got their material done, shipped to them, class was over. So I was already buying material bulk for my commercial tie-in, so I just started kind of repackaging stuff for people, and started out selling material, and I was eventually ended up kind of a full-blown small shop. I was one of the original sage dealers in the Midwest. I've been wearing Sims waders since nobody knew what Sims waders were, and so, so I worked, I did some little bit of freelance writing. I used to write a fly tying column for Michigan Outdoors magazine for 20 some years, and guided on and off on the side when I was working at GM, and again, never really planned on getting in the guiding business, but I would donate trips to like Ducks Unlimited banquets, and then, the following year, well, yeah, we want to go back next year. Well, next year, is on them, not on Ducks Unlimited. So, guided on and off. And I worked for General Motors as a pipe fitter for 31 years. So I would guide all night, get up or work as a pipe fitter all night, and then go guide during the day. And I had 2 little kids at home, and I was, seeing a lot of deer in the headlights and bridge embunkments, and I thought one of these nights I'm not going to make it home. So kind of stepped away from the guiding for several years and just did continued commercial tying. I used to tie a couple thousand dozen a year. Put my daughter through college at Michigan State tying flies, and just gradually, got invited to various opportunities to tie flies all around the world, and have been able to meet some pretty neat, pretty famous, not so famous people, but I guess I was probably 20, 25, 20, well, no, I wasn't even that old. I was probably 20, 23 or 4. And I was on the board of the Lansing Trout Unlimited chapter, and so our banquet speaker was Dave Whitlock. So as the banquet chairman, it was my job to go pick him up. So went up to Carl Richards' house in Rockford, picked him up at Carl's because Carl was doing some dental work for him. And then came back to Lansing. We went out to lunch, and we had 3 or 4 hours before the banquet started. And so we checked him into his room and says, "What can I show you?" So I sat down one-on-one with Dave Whitlock for about 4 hours tying flies.
Wow.
And it really turned my fly tying in a different direction, And we've been good friends, for a long time. I guess one of the highest compliments I ever was paid by a big name, if you will, in the industry is he'd been promising me some flies for a number of years, and was at a show one time and just sitting there watching him tie flies, as were a whole bunch of other people, and got through tying these flies, and the guy says, "Can I buy those from you?" He said, "No." He says, "These are for Bear." He says, and bears like family, and unfortunately family's the last ones to get taken care of, so I've promised him these for a long time, so I took that as kind of a pretty neat thing.
So Matt said you've had quite a few shenanigans, Streamside shenanigans through your life, and he said you got quite a few good stories, huh?
Kind of a shenanigan, if you will. I've been fishing up in Labrador for about 35 years, and this year I finally got a spot named after me. And normally you get a spot named after you because you caught a 9-pound fish there, you caught a 10-pound fish there. Well, we were headed up the lake, and I was sitting on the bow of the boat, and we were just crawling. Fortunately, we were just crawling along, and I was putting a little new leader on my line, and we hit a rock. The boat stopped, and I went head over heels out the back of the boat into the water, broke a couple ribs. I'm looking up, all I can see is water for about 2 feet over my head, and I popped up out of the water, and I still had my cigar in my mouth and my hat on.
So what's the place called in Labrador now? It's called Bear Andrews Point or something.
That's Bear's Run.
Bear's Run.
Yeah.
It's not referring to streaking. Right?
No,
it's
that's
just
yeah. Yeah. But I mean, this was first thing in the morning, so I was soaking wet for half the day, and just kind of peeled everything off and tried to stay warm and dry for a few hours till my clothes dried out. But we were too far away from camp to worry about, going back to worry about changing clothes. But
How'd you meet Kaz?
actually, I haven't known. I mean, I've known of him, and he's known of me for a number of years, and I guess we really, got to know each other in the last year and a half or so because of our affiliation with as ambassadors for Temple Fork Outfitters, and so we've done a lot of shows together, and been roommates along the way, and got a chance to chat amongst about different things and whatnot, and we haven't fished together yet. We thought we were going to do that today, but we had to come and do this podcast instead. But it'll all happen in time, and we've kind of just done a few joint trips together. Like this weekend, the last 3 days, we've been on the water together with a group of guys from South Carolina and Belgium and Florida, and
show up and Bear's wearing a Sims shirt, same one I have, one of my pages, and somebody said, "Oh shit, look at Bear, don't take a picture of him, he'll get pissed." And then you commented on it, he's like, "No, because I just don't want you taking pictures of me or something." I have no idea who the other person was, but this was like back when the Grand Rapids show was still, it was like 10 years ago.
really,
Is that when you first met Bill? Or Bear?
Yeah. Just from doing fly tying.
Yeah, I mean, we never just casually
Yeah,
spoke,
exactly.
and
But he was, like you said, had that gruff, until you get to hang out with him and know him. There's not much expression.
I have a unapproachable look about me at times, and it's like my wife says, if you'd smile once in a while, people come and talk to you.
Why would I want to do that?
I said if I wanted to talk to him, I'd talk to him.
You're the perfect sales professional right there, That's awesome. So, Brian, as you built this whole empire, not an empire of True North Trout, I mean, what are some of the things that you remember about getting started, especially with these guys and Randy and Matt and Bear and what you've been up to? I mean, what are some of those memorable moments that you've had through the years?
We take out a lot of. Today we had a group of 8 guys from all over the country, the world, and we, like Bear was saying, every year we take out a group of guys for 5 or 6 nights for Hex Night. They're Grand Rapids TU members, and I don't know, it's like every year they plan on being with us 4 guys from June 20th through June 24th, and it's kind of cool that we know these guys now, and so when they jump in the boat, it's, how you doing? What's new? How's the family? How's the kids? And it's not, part of the job is going through the same thing every time you get into the boat, and you have to remember, did I tell this guy that? Does he already know this, or does he not know this about me? Or, it's great when you have an established clientele that they already know you and you know them, and they can come right up to you and ask you about your family on a personal level. I don't know, I mean, it's cool to be able to do, like you said, what you love to do as a passion on a daily basis, not just, but at the same time, we get frustrated because we don't get to fish as much for ourselves because we're doing it vicariously through the people in our boats.
And Matt, you're the youngest of the crew, right?
Yeah, you could say that.
Wait, 19?
yeah.
18, 19?
Yeah, something like that.
Bear buys you beer?
Yeah. yeah. He has been for 10 years now. No, I'm 29.
How does it feel to be a part of this crew, and what are some of those memorable things that you've experienced since you've been part of True North Trout?
Okay, so last summer with that same crew Brian was talking about.
Of course, there's no wind now.
We Bear and I floated a shorter stretch than Randy and Brian did with these guys, and we got back early, and I got to sit on the porch and just listen to bear stories for I don't know, 2 hours maybe, and while Brian and Randy were out getting drenched in a thunderstorm. and just listen to him talk about all the people he's fished with. Like, yeah, we did. We went mousing, moved a few fish. We actually just moused out here in the North Branch, and listen to him talk about guys like Lee Wolf, people like that you read about in books.
Legends.
Yeah, Dave Whitlock, like he talked about, and then just learning from all these guys. You know, I make a point of fishing with people that know more than I do, and I think when I decided that's a good thing to do, it made me a way better angler. It absolutely made me a better guide. So.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at life. Everyone knows something that you don't, and when you approach life that way, I don't know everything about it, everything. Life's a lot easier.
Totally.
But thank you very much for joining us this Wednesday with Stories by Bear. Stay tuned next Wednesday for another story from that night with Stories by Bear. Also, check us out every Sunday, me and Wild Bill at remotenopressure.com, and we always put out a full episode on Sundays. Sundays is our night. So I really appreciate everybody here. I appreciate everyone listening. And if it's your first time, welcome to Remote No Pressure Podcast. Be sure to check us out on our social. And until next time, go fishing.